people have been, I'm sure, seeing this information. China, starting maybe roughly 2 weeks ago, it's hard to put a specific date on anything that happens in China policy-wise, but they started making clear that they were not going to have Bitcoin mining still in the country, and it has really happened this time. I think there's no clear statistics because this stuff was not necessarily tracked all that well in the first place, but there's numbers like 90% of miners have already left China or are about to. And the result is that the hash rate of the Bitcoin network goes down. That is the total amount of compute power that's being used to solve blocks and secure the network. And the reason I think this is important is because there's very little understanding of how hash rate works as a market mechanism. And basically, what we're going to see is as the hash rate goes down, and we've seen some big drops, and there's going to be another one coming up as the difficulty resets. But basically, for the people who are still operating mining systems, whether you're in the US or people who have moved out of China, what that hash rate drop means is that it's cheaper to make a Bitcoin. And the upshot is that based on conversations that I was having last week, and this is before whatever the next reset is, but we've seen Bitcoin's price drop from 65,000 to about 35,000 or a little less. Miners are telling me that their profit margins have remained almost exactly the same because of the drop in hash rate. So we've seen the price of Bitcoin go down by half. Miners are still doing just fine because of this hash rate reset. And the big questions are, when are we going to see this hash power come back online? People are trying to move machines to new places that they're taking out of China. And so there is this big disruption, but it's mostly about, the hash rate is a very specific kind of dynamic in Bitcoin, and felt like worthwhile to walk through kind of some of the implications, what's going to happen to the market. And of course, some of these miners are publicly listed stocks. So if you're looking at stocks, North American-based miners might be a good one right now. I don't know if that implies any questions or comments, but
I think that might have been the hash's first stock tip. I don't know. I don't think we've ever had that before. It's like
stock tips.
Stock tips. Bitcoin
we should do a little segment.
Tips. That'd be cool. Anyway, I defer to Will on all mining matters. Will, I think, why does hash rate matter again? Tell me why this is something that people should pay more close attention to besides just price activity.
Yeah, for sure. No, I think David did a great job summarizing it there. Hash rate is a great indicator of where the mining market is at. It shows you kind of profitability for miners who typically operate really, really, really close to margin. Kind of the saying in the industry is miners are the longest in the room. Like they're longer than Bitcoin hodlers. They are longer than Bitcoin stock ETF holders or whatever you have, because they have a bunch of equipment that has to turn out Bitcoin for them to break even. And right now, and over this past year, it's just been a great time to be in Bitcoin mining because you have been making a lot of money. Of course, Bitcoin self-adjusts. This difficulty period is coming to close here, and it's going to readjust, and then profits readjust as well, which is the interesting thing about Bitcoin compared to other mining vendors where Bitcoin can kind of self-correct and readjust the difficulty, and then you don't make as much money. So I think the short answer here is we're going to see a lot of hash rate move. That's going to change a lot of profitability for a lot of miners around the world, and it's just a story to pay attention to for the next 6 months or so.
Yeah, it is interesting. I'll just mention before we wrap up is that, you had the articles come out saying like, 85% of miners in China or whatever, or across the world has stopped mining, and we didn't see a corresponding drop in hash rate. So it's interesting that maybe we've overestimated the amount of miners in China, or maybe we're overestimating how many of them have actually been shut down in China. But it seems like, maybe it's an evolutionary process, and, they're cracking down, but it's going to take a while. But it was just an interesting, it was quite a dramatic difference in the numbers there, which I was a little surprised at.